You wake up. No buzz, no plans, no lights on your screen, just quiet. Just you. That quiet feels odd, almost too quiet. And then it comes. That small doubt. That tightness in your chest. That ache. Not for company, but for proof that you mean something to someone. That's the moment most men run. They grab their phones. They text someone they know they shouldn't. They look through feeds just to feel a link because the world told you that quiet means trouble. That if no woman is writing, if no friend is calling, then maybe you're late, maybe you're not wanted, maybe you're not good enough. But what if the quiet isn't a penalty? What if it's a door most men are too scared to go through? See, the world taught you to fear being alone, but no one told you what happens when you accept it. When you stop chasing sound and finally face the quiet. Because here's the truth. The man who welcomes his alone time, who walks alone by choice, is not weak. He's strong because he's making something no one sees. Something inside that can't be shaken. This message isn't for every man. It's for the ones who are tired of being chosen last. Tired of acting for okayness. Tired of making themselves small to fit places they don't belong anymore. It's for the man who's done running and ready to rise. In a world of loud views and hungry attention-seeking, the man who picks quiet becomes someone you can't forget. This isn't being cut off. It's taking back. You're not leaving the world. You're coming back to yourself. Too many men float from woman to woman, from job to job, from one thin friendship to the next, chasing okayness like air. But when do you stop and ask, what happens if I stop chasing and just sit with myself? What happens is change. Your mind gets sharper. Your voice gets deeper. Your wants get higher. And here's the odd part. The moment you stop needing others to see your value, that's when they finally see it. Before we start, I want you to write one thing in the comments. I choose alone time to build my strength. Not because it sounds nice, but because you're done hiding. Because you're ready to stop chasing and start becoming. This is your mark. Type it, mean it, and let's start. Number 1, the fear of quiet. You sit in the dark, and for once there's no way out. No pings, no plans, no one asking for your time. Just the sound of your breath and something heavier under it. Your thoughts. Most men don't fear being alone. They fear what alone shows. Not no people, but the truth being there. Quiet isn't empty. It's facing you. It doesn't yell. It doesn't make you feel bad. It just opens the box. The regrets you hid, the choices you put off, the yous you said you'd be but never were. Suddenly they all come. Not asked, not held back. That girl who left. That job you didn't go for. That promise you broke to yourself when no one else saw. You try to look away, but there's nothing to take your mind off it anymore. No talk to hide in, no relationship to sink in, no act to play. Just you and the truth you've been running from for years. And now comes the real question. Will you finally face it or run again? That's why most men keep moving, jumping from woman to woman, goal to goal, screen to screen. Not to make something, but to get away from something. Not her, not them, themselves, because quiet takes off the mask, and when it does, you either break or wake up. At first, the quiet is hard. It pulls your chest tight. It makes every worry sound louder than any voice. You're not enough. You'll always be left out. Nothing you do really counts. But if you stay, if you breathe through the mess, if you stop trying to run from it, something changes. You start to see you're still here, still breathing, still able. And those thoughts, they're not who you are. They're echoes, old words. They knock, but you don't have to open the door. That's when understanding comes softly, without big shows, just a quiet knowing. You are not your past, not your regrets, not the woman who left, not the man who failed once. You are the man who stayed, the one who didn't look away, who sat in his own heat and refused to turn away. That's rare. That's power. That's calm. Growth doesn't start at the gym. Not in books. Not in podcasts or self-help clips. It starts in quiet. It starts the moment you decide your worth is worth facing. You sit in the storm. Let it yell. Let it turn. Let it rip through every false idea. And you stay. You don't fill the empty space. You let it be. And in doing so, you take back what most men never touch: inner control. From that quiet, a new voice comes up, not loud but steady, not perfect but real. And when you move again, you move with weight. Your words hit deeper, your presence feels solid, not because you've changed the world, but because you finally came back to yourself. And here's the truth: the world doesn't need more men who fit in. It needs men who can sit in quiet and walk out with clear sight. Because that man, he doesn't chase, he doesn't show off, he doesn't ask to be seen. He becomes seen because his energy doesn't ask, it states. Number 2, approval cleanse. Most men are hooked on something they can't see. Not drink, not drugs, not betting, but something much more hidden: okayness. They check their phones first thing in the morning, not because they need to know things, but because they need to feel okay. Did she answer? Did they like my share? Did someone see me? It seems fine, but it's not. It's need dressed as Link, leaning, wearing a smile. And what makes it so risky is that it's unseen. No one tells you. There's no fix for it, no stop talk. But it eats away at you slowly because it doesn't just change what you do. It changes who you think you are. Approval seeking makes you small. You say yes when you want to say no. You laugh at things you don't find fun. You avoid quiet, avoid truth, avoid standing alone just to avoid being turned away. You think you're playing safe, but in truth, you're playing small. You're giving your voice for ease, yourself for claps, your freedom for fitting in. And over time, that need to be liked becomes a cage. You make the walls nice with praises, but you know you're stuck, caught in the picture others made for you, not the man you were meant to be. Here's the truth. Approval is a rush. It hits fast, then goes. And like all rushes, it leaves you needing more notice, more okayness, more acting. But in the end, you wear out. Not because you're weak, but because you've been wearing a mask for too long. And masks get heavy. But there's another way. It's not easy, but it's real. It starts with a cleanse, an approval cleanse. You stop checking your phone every 5 minutes. You stop making your thoughts fit the room. You start asking harder questions. Am I doing this because I trust it, or because I want to be liked? That question alone changes everything. You stop chasing fast yeses. You stop saying sorry for having standards. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never hearing you in the first place. At first, it feels like coming off something. You feel the quiet, the space, the voices in your head asking, what if they don't like me anymore? But you sit in it. You breathe through it. You let the unease make you sharper. And slowly, a new voice comes. Not loud, not big, but solid. Your voice. The one buried under years of acting. The one that speaks not to be heard, but because it must speak. And then comes the change. You stop texting just to stay known. You stop laughing when it's not fun. You start respecting your time, your truth, your peace. People notice. They feel something different. A weight in your being, a quiet in your eyes. You don't need notice. You have notice. That's the odd part. When you stop trying to be seen, you become hard to miss. Because men who chase approval blend in, but men who choose themselves, they stand out, not by sound, but by being true. You know what you believe. You know what you'll allow. And most of all, you know who you are when no one's looking. That's the kind of man people remember. Not because he was loud, but because he was solid. Approval cleanse is messy. It costs you false friends, surface grins, short claps. But what you get is everything. You get respect, not asked for, but drawn. You get peace, not from hiding, but from standing. And you get power, not from control dash, but from clear sight. So ask yourself, are you still living to be liked? Still changing who you are to make others at ease, or are you finally ready to choose yourself? Because once you do, really do, something shifts. You stop chasing. You stop explaining. You stop acting. You simply become, and the world sees. Number 3, clear sight through alone time. There comes a moment in every man's life when the sound fades, and what's left is quiet, not forced, not empty, just still. And in that quiet, something strong happens. For the first time in a long time, the fog goes. not because the world changed, but because you stepped back from it. You turned down the sound on the wants, the push, the constant views, and finally, you could hear what had been waiting under all along yourself. Alone time is not being cut off. It's healing. It's the way of peeling back everything that isn't you, so you can finally see what is in the mess. You're quick to react. You're hurried. You're changing, fitting, acting. You're always checking if you're doing it right by someone else's rule. But in alone time, you start to slow down, to watch instead of react, to see what you let into your mind, your time, your soul. You see how much of your thinking never was yours. The goals weren't yours. The way of life wasn't yours. Even the idea of when was given to you, and you've been chasing a version of life that never felt like home. But when you pull back, when the feed goes quiet, when the phone stays down, when the weekend isn't full, something new appears. Clear sight. You start to ask better questions. Not what do people want from me, but what do I really want? What gives me energy? What takes my energy? Who do I become around certain people? And do I like that man? Alone time lets you face those questions without noise, without push to answer fast, without needing okayness for your answers. You sit in it. You feel what's been buried. You breathe through what's not easy. And slowly the mirror clears. You stop acting you're fine with things that don't feel right. You stop taking links that feel empty. You stop lying to yourself just to avoid unease. And you start to live true. Not perfect but real. Not shiny but honest. You start saying no without guilt. You make space not because you're far, but because you're finally picking wisely. You start to cut ties not out of anger, but out of clear sight. Alone time doesn't just clear your head, it makes your sight sharp. You become on purpose. You no longer wake up to get through the day. You wake up with aim. Your habits match your goals. Your people show your values. Your world becomes a mirror of who you are, not who you were trying to be. And something else changes. You stop explaining your choices to people who will never get them. You don't need to fight. You don't need to prove. You simply live and your life speaks for itself. That's when you see you're no longer free for trouble. You're no longer open to control. You're no longer moved by surface sound. You're rooted. And that being rooted makes you firm. People cannot agree with you, not get you, even leave. And still you stay centered, because now you're not living for them. You're living in line with the man you were meant to be. That's the real gift of alone time. It burns away distraction. It burns away noise. It burns away the versions of you that were never truly yours. And what's left is a man with peace in his chest and purpose in his step. He doesn't speak to wow. He speaks because what he says counts. He doesn't chase. He builds. And he doesn't need to be understood, because he finally understands himself. So if your world feels quiet right now, don't fear. That quiet isn't empty. It's a call. It's your life asking you to slow down and hear. You don't need more notice. You don't need more likes, more answers, more women, or more sound. You need more quiet, more alone time, more moments where you sit alone and meet the man you've ignored for too long, yourself. The man who walks alone isn't broken. He's remaking. He's not running from the world. He's coming back to his core, making better, sharpening, burning away everything that never was his. He doesn't move like someone waiting to be picked. He moves like someone who has already picked himself. And when you become that man, life starts to line up. The right people stay, the wrong ones go. And chance doesn't have to be chased anymore. It simply finds you. That's not magic. That's skill. If this quiet hits something deep inside you, don't just scroll. Drop a comment below and answer this. What's one distraction you're ready to drop today? Then hit like, not because you were amused, but because something in you woke up and subscribed to this channel. If you're ready to build not sound, not being liked, but clear sight, discipline, and quiet strength. Because here at our channel, we are not chasing okayness. We're making men who lead from the inside out.